Have you ever noticed that the heavier the silence gets, the louder your mind becomes? What if the fear that no one would notice, if you stopped reaching out, is not actually a reflection of your worth, but a sign of a profound emotional exhaustion hiding deep within you? If you have ever felt like you are the only one keeping your relationships alive, like you are constantly sending the first message just to prove you still exist to others, this is for you. Stay until the end, because the final lesson may change the way you see this painful silence forever. 1. The exhaustion of always being the anchor. What if the harder you try to keep people close, the further peace moves away? Here is a truth few people want to face. The tighter you hold on to others to feel seen, the more invisible you become to yourself. You know this feeling intimately. It is the quiet ache of always being the one to reach out, always making the plans, checking in, and carrying the heavy emotional weight of the connection. You stare at your quiet phone. You replay past interactions. You tell yourself you are just being a caring friend, a loyal partner, or a devoted family member. But beneath that constant effort is a quiet, desperate question echoing in the dark. If I stop trying, will anyone reach back? You are terrified of dropping the heavy rope. You are convinced that if you let go for even a second, the people you care about will simply drift away into the fog. And so, you keep pulling. You keep giving, even when you are utterly depleted, because the fear of being forgotten feels far more dangerous than the silent pain of feeling unappreciated. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that a great deal of our suffering stems from attachment. This is not merely attachment to people, but attachment to a specific identity. You have attached your sense of self to being the caretaker, the anchor, the one who must hold everything together. Buddhism reminds us that all things, including human connections, are subject to impermanence. They ebb, they flow, they breathe. When we try to force that flow, demanding that relationships stay frozen in constant validation, we create our own suffering. Imagine a person standing in the middle of a rushing river, desperately trying to hold the water in their bare hands. They scoop it up, pulling it tight against their chest, terrified that if they open their hands, they will be left with nothing. But the harder they squeeze, the faster the water slips through their clenched fingers. Their arms ache, their spirit breaks, but the exhaustion does not come from the river. The exhaustion comes from fighting the current. Think about your own life. When you are the one always trying to force the interaction to keep a bond alive, you are fighting the river. You are tying your inherent worth to an unread message, a cancelled plan, or an empty screen. You are taking the quiet space of others and turning it into evidence that you are unlovable. Ask yourself right now, what are you truly holding on to? Are you holding on to a genuine connection, or are you holding onto the fear of being alone? What are you afraid will happen if you finally open your hands? Pause. Breathe. The next time you feel the desperate urge to reach out just to soothe your anxiety, stop. Let the feeling rise. Observe the fear of being ignored without following it. Do your part in life, but release the desperate need to control the outcome. Because peace is not something you catch by constantly reminding the world that you are here. It is something you make space for when you finally allow yourself to rest. But stepping back and letting go of control is only the first step. 2. The trap of measuring your worth. What if the silence of others has nothing to do with your value? Here is the truth. We often use the attention of the people around us as a mirror, and when they look away, we quietly believe our reflection has vanished. We live in a world where we expect instant reassurance. You send a message, you wait, you see someone is active, yet your screen stays blank. Instantly, the mind begins to construct a trial, and you are the only one on the stand. You gather evidence of your own unworthiness. You replay old conversations, searching for the exact moment you became burdensome or uninteresting. You measure your inherent value by the speed of a reply, the warmth of a passing greeting, or the frequency of an invitation. You begin to believe that if people truly cared, they would constantly prove it. And when they are simply quiet, the mind whispers a devastating lie. You are easy to forget. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that this is the restless trap of the ego. The ego is always hungry for proof of its own existence. It survives on external validation, and it panics in silence. In Buddhist thought, one of the deepest causes of human suffering is our profound reliance on ever-changing conditions to tell us who we are. When we look to impermanent things like the changing moods, busy schedules, or fleeting attention of others to secure our deepest sense of self-worth, we are building our foundation on shifting sand. We place our peace in the hands of things we cannot control. Imagine a deep, quiet lake reflecting the bright moon. When the night is perfectly still, the reflection on the water is round, clear, and whole. But when a sudden wind blows across the surface, the water ripples. The reflection of the moon shatters into 100 broken, dancing pieces. It looks chaotic, it looks destroyed, but the moon in the sky has not changed. It is still completely whole. It is only the surface of the water that is disturbed. In your daily life, the attention of other people is just the wind on the water. A dear friend forgets to reply because their own mind is heavy. A partner withdraws because they are carrying a silent burden. A colleague walks past without speaking. The water ripples, and suddenly your reflection feels shattered. You feel broken, unvalued, and entirely alone. But the truth is, their lack of response is about their own weather. It is about their own storms, their own distractions, and their own exhaustion. It has absolutely nothing to do with the moon. It has nothing to do with your true, unchanging nature. Think about your own life. How many times today have you allowed someone else's silence to dictate your entire mood? How much of your inner peace have you unknowingly handed over to people who do not even realize they are holding it? Let this be your daily practice. When the quiet moments come, do not immediately rush to fill them. Pause. Breathe deep into the emptiness. Notice the desperate urge to fix the silence. Observe the anxious thought that tells you that you are unloved, and recognize it as just a passing cloud, not the sky itself. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. You do not have to chase what is already leaving, and you do not have to beg for what should be freely given, because your worth does not disappear just because no one is looking at it. But to stop measuring yourself against the unpredictable actions of others, you must first understand why you are trying to script their behavior. And this is where the next truth begins. 3. The illusion of control in connection. What if your constant reaching out is not actually about connection, but about control? Here is the truth few people want to face. The more we fear losing someone, the more we try to manage their feelings for us. You know this dynamic well. You send a message not just to share a thought, but to secure a reply. You organize the gathering, ask all the questions, and frantically fill the quiet spaces in a room. You tell yourself you are just being kind, just being the one who cares the most. But deep down, there is a heavy, frantic energy driving your actions. You are orchestrating the relationship. You are trying to guarantee that you will not be abandoned or forgotten. When you sense someone pulling away, even slightly, your instinct is to close the gap immediately. You want to fix their mood, change their mind, and force the interaction. You believe that if you just try a little harder, you can control the outcome. In Buddhist thought, this desperate need to control is recognized as a profound source of suffering. We suffer because we cling to the illusion that we can dictate the feelings and actions of others. Buddhism reminds us that everything in this world, including human emotion, is fluid and ever-changing. When we try to freeze a relationship in a perfect, reassuring state, we are fighting the natural law of impermanence. The harder we grip, the more anxiety we produce. True connection cannot be manufactured. It cannot be forced. It must arise naturally, completely out of freedom. Imagine you are holding a small wild bird in your hands. You love the bird. You want it to stay with you. But you are terrified that if you open your hands, it will instantly fly away into the vast sky. So, out of fear, you close your fingers tightly around it. You believe you are protecting the connection, but by gripping so tightly, you are suffocating the very thing you love. If you want the bird to live, you have to open your hands. It might fly away. That is the painful risk of the world. But if it stays because it is free, not because it is trapped. Think about your own life. How often do you grip the people around you? When you repeatedly message a distant friend, when you force a conversation with someone who is pulling away, or when you twist yourself into knots trying to keep someone interested, you are gripping the bird. You are not allowing the other person the space to choose you. You are building a relationship based entirely on your own exhausting effort rather than mutual presence. Ask yourself, are you reaching out today because you have genuine joy to share, or because you are terrified of the silence? What are you so afraid will happen if you simply let people be exactly who they are without your constant intervention? Pause, breathe. The next time you feel the panic rising, the urge to manage someone else's distance, do not react. Stop trying to force the door open. Let them have their space. Let them have their quiet. Observe your own fear without letting it dictate your actions. Because true connection is not something you trap. It is a choice made in freedom, but letting go of the illusion of control forces you to finally confront the very thing you have been running from. And this is where the next truth begins. 4. The true meaning of silence. What if silence is not a weapon being used against you, but an empty space you are filling with your own fears? Here is the truth. Most of the time, when we fear that no one will notice our absence, we are fundamentally misreading what silence actually means. You know the sting of the quiet. You send the text, you make the effort, and then comes nothing. Days pass. The silence stretches out, and in that void, your mind goes to war. You decide that their quiet means they do not care. You translate their lack of action into a loud, definitive statement about your own worth. You assume they have forgotten you, replaced you, or finally realized you are not worth the effort. To the anxious mind, silence feels violent. It feels like an aggressive act of rejection. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that suffering arises when we attach false narratives to neutral reality. In Buddhism, emptiness is not something to be feared. It is simply the nature of things before we project our own desires and terrors onto them. Silence itself is perfectly neutral. It has no voice, no judgment, and no agenda. It is only our deeply conditioned mind that dresses the silence in the heavy armor of abandonment. When we practice mindfulness, we learn the profound art of separating what is actually happening from the painful story we are telling ourselves about what is happening. Imagine a quiet, empty room. The room does not hate you. The room is not ignoring you. It is simply empty. Now imagine you walk into that room carrying a lantern that casts dark, terrifying shadows against the walls. You see monsters. You see threats. You panic, trying to fight the shadows or run away from them. But the shadows are not coming from the room. They are coming from the light you brought with you, shining through the tangled fears in your own mind. The room itself is exactly what it always was, just quiet. In your modern life, the silence of your friends, your family, or the world at large is just that empty room. When someone does not call, when a weekend passes without a message, or when a connection temporarily falls quiet, that is just the empty room. The belief that you are unlovable, that you are easily discarded, or that you are entirely alone. Those are the terrifying shadows your own mind is projecting onto the walls. The other person is likely just living their life, caught up in their own exhaustion, their own stress, or their own quiet struggles. They are not intentionally weaponizing their silence against you. Think about your own life. How many times have you suffered deeply over a silence that was never meant to hurt you? What are you making the quiet mean? What if the silence you are experiencing right now means absolutely nothing about your inherent value as a human being? Pause. Breathe. The next time the silence feels deafening, do not immediately rush to fill it with panic. Sit in the empty room. Watch the terrifying shadows of your own insecurities dance on the walls. But do not mistake them for reality. Let the quiet just be quiet. Let the space just be space. Because silence does not have the power to erase you. It only reveals the deep fears you have been carrying all along. But to stop fearing the silence, you have to look closely at the painful script you keep repeating in your mind. And this is where the next truth begins. 5. Letting go of the story you tell yourself. What if the heaviest burden you carry is not what is happening to you, but the story you have written about it? Here is a hard truth. We suffer not because people drift away, but because we tell ourselves their distance is a final verdict on our soul. You know how quickly the mind builds a tragedy. You look at a friendship that has slowly faded, an invitation that was never extended, or a weekend where your phone stayed completely dark. Instead of seeing a simple, neutral event, two people whose paths are shifting, or a friend who is simply overwhelmed, your mind begins to write a painful script. The story says, "I am always the one left behind." The story says, "I must not be important enough to remember." You rehearse this painful narrative so often that it becomes your absolute reality. You walk through life believing you are inherently disposable, wearing the silence of others like a heavy, suffocating coat. Buddhist wisdom teaches us the profound practice of observing the mind without becoming entangled in its fabrications. In Buddhism, there is a clear distinction between the raw experience of a moment and the painful judgments we stack on top of it. This is often explained through the teaching of the two arrows. The first arrow is the natural pain of life, a connection naturally fading, or the simple ache of a quiet evening. We cannot always avoid the first arrow, but the second arrow is the story we tell ourselves about that pain, the belief that we are flawed, unlovable, or permanently broken. We shoot the second arrow into our own hearts. Imagine a thick, dark cloud drifting across an otherwise endless, brilliant blue sky. The cloud is the painful thought, "No one cares if I am here." It enters your view, heavy and grey. But instead of sitting quietly and letting the wind carry the cloud away, you chase it, you pull it down, wrap yourself inside it, and convince yourself that the sun has died. You forget that the cloud is not the sky. It is only passing weather. The sky itself remains vast, clear, and perfectly untouched behind it. In your modern life, every time you let an unanswered text convince you that your friends do not value you, you are wrapping yourself in the dark cloud. When you assume that a quiet group chat means you are fundamentally uninteresting, you are shooting the second arrow. You are taking a singular, fleeting moment, a busy friend, a distracted partner, a tired family member, and turning it into a lifelong sentence of isolation. Think about your own life. What story are you endlessly reciting right now about your own worth? Look closely at the narrative you build when someone forgets to reach out. Is this thought bringing you peace, or is it feeding your deepest fear? What would happen if you simply refused to read the script anymore? Pause. Breathe. The next time the painful story begins to loop in your head, stop. Observe the thought without following it down into the dark. Say quietly to yourself, "This is a feeling, not a fact." Let the feeling rise. Do not fight it, but do not invite it to stay. Just watch it drift across the vast sky of your mind, because the moment you stop believing the tragic story of your own unworthiness, the silence of others loses its power to destroy you. But stepping away from the story requires you to stop filling every gap with noise and finally let the stillness speak. And this is where the next truth begins. 6. The power of the pause. What if the most powerful thing you can do when you feel ignored is absolutely nothing? Here is the truth. Our deepest suffering often happens in the panicked rush to fix a silence that was never actually broken. You know the intense physical urgency of this fear. You feel the familiar ache of distance creeping in. A friend seems distant, or a message is left unread. Immediately, your mind goes into overdrive. Your chest tightens. You pick up your phone, type a message, delete it, and type it again. You feel an overwhelming, desperate urge to send something, anything, just to get a reaction. You want to ask if they are upset, or maybe share a random thought, just to see if they will look at you. You believe that immediate action is the only way to save the connection. You are constantly leaning forward, exhausting yourself trying to keep the momentum going, terrified that if you stop pushing, everything you love will collapse. Buddhist wisdom teaches us the profound importance of the space between what happens to us and how we respond. In the practice of mindfulness, we are asked to sit patiently with our discomfort rather than immediately trying to escape it. When we react blindly to the fear of being ignored, we act purely out of attachment. We try to force reality to match our desires, and in doing so, we create our own suffering. But when we learn to pause, we step out of the endless cycle of anxiety. We stop letting our deepest, oldest insecurities dictate our physical actions. Imagine a small wooden boat on a vast, dark lake. The water is rough, and the night is thick with fog. You cannot see the shore. In a sudden panic, you grab the heavy oars and start rowing frantically in every direction. You spin the boat in chaotic circles, exhausting your arms, splashing cold water everywhere, creating violence where there was only mist. You believe you are saving yourself. But what if you simply put the oars down? What if you just let the boat rest on the gently rolling water? Eventually, the wind will shift. The fog will lift entirely on its own. The water will calm, and you will see clearly where you are, without having broken your own spirit trying to get there. In your modern life, the frantic rowing is the endless texting, the over-explaining, and the desperate reaching out just to feel seen. It is the panic you feel staring at a quiet screen on a lonely weekend. You are exhausting yourself trying to control the uncontrollable fog and of other people's lives. But you do not have to fix their silence. You do not have to manage their emotional distance. Sometimes, the absolute bravest thing you can do is simply put the oars down. Think about your own life. When the deep fear of being forgotten rises in your chest, what is your frantic rowing? How do you try to force people to look at you? What are you trying to force in this exact phase of your life? What would happen if you simply let the boat rest on the water? Pause, breathe. The next time you feel the desperate urge to reach out from a place of pure fear, do not pick up your phone. Stop. Let the uncomfortable feeling of not knowing wash over you. Observe the panic, but do not obey it. Let the storm pass without becoming the storm. Because true strength is not found in constantly forcing the world to acknowledge you. It is found in the quiet confidence of waiting. But to find true peace in the pause, you must first learn how to sit with the person you meet in the empty space. And this is where the next truth begins. 7. Meeting yourself in the empty space. What if the silence you are so desperately trying to avoid is exactly what you need to heal? Here is the truth. We fear it because of who we might meet when all the noise finally fades away. You know this specific terror. You put down your phone, You stop making the plans. You finally stop reaching out, and suddenly, it is just you. The profound silence of a quiet evening settles in, and without the constant distraction of checking on others, a deep, heavy ache rises up. You are forced to sit with your own quiet mind. The harsh reality is that we often use the lives of other people as a brilliant, noisy shield to guard ourselves against our own solitude. We obsess over their silence. We worry about their distance, because if we stop focusing on them, we have to turn around and face ourselves. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that true peace cannot be found by constantly escaping our own presence. In deep meditation practice, we are not trying to avoid the empty spaces of the mind. We are learning to dwell in them gently. Buddhism reveals that the profound emptiness we feel is not actually a void waiting to devour us. It is the sacred ground where true self-awareness takes root. When we stop running from our own solitude, we stop treating ourselves as a burden to be avoided. Imagine an old, beautiful house. For years, you have stood desperately on the front porch, waving at every passing traveler, pulling people inside, and keeping the music deafeningly loud so you never have to hear the floorboards creak. You are terrified of what lives in the quiet shadows of the deeper rooms. But one day, the travelers stop coming. The music fades completely. You are forced to walk inside alone. You sit quietly in the dark, and slowly, your eyes adjust to the soft light. You realize there are no monsters here. There is only a quiet, sturdy home that has been waiting a very long time for you to return to it. In your modern life, the frantic texting and the forced interactions are the loud music. Trying to keep everyone engaged is standing desperately on the porch. When you finally stop reaching out, the silence of your friends is simply the gentle invitation back into the quiet house. You are finally home. The sharp loneliness you feel is just the sound of the creaking floorboards. It is simply your own spirit, asking for the exact same love, time, and attention you have been so freely giving to everyone else. Think about your own life. Who are you when no one is looking at you? What are you so afraid to feel that you need the constant noise of other people to drown it out? Are you avoiding your own company because you mistakenly believe you are not worth spending time with? Pause. Breathe. The next time the silence comes, do not run back to the porch. Step inside the quiet house of your own mind. Sit with yourself. Let the intense discomfort of solitude wash over you, knowing it cannot harm you. Be as kind to yourself in the empty space as you are to the people you so desperately want to stay. Because finding peace in the quiet is the only way to finally stop abandoning yourself. But once you stop, fearing your own company, the way you allow others to exist in your life completely transforms. And this is where the next truth begins. What happens when you finally stop managing the connections in your life? You create a profound and terrifying freedom, not just for yourself, but for the people around you. You finally allow others the space to choose you freely. For so long, you have been the exhausted architect of your relationships. You built the bridges, you carried the weight, you sent the first text, made the plans, and held the conversations together. You became the heavy anchor, but an anchor is always submerged in the dark, bearing the tension alone. You have silently convinced yourself that if you step back, people will simply disappear. And worse, you fear that their disappearance will be the ultimate proof that you were never truly loved at all. But here is the truth few people want to face. A connection that requires you to constantly force it is not a genuine connection. It is an act of sheer willpower, and you are tired of being the only one keeping the fire alive. Buddhist wisdom teaches us the profound difference between holding and grasping. To grasp is to act from a place of deep fear. It is the anxious tightening of the hand, trying to capture and control something that was always meant to flow freely. But true connection, like true peace, can only exist in the open space of non-attachment. It cannot be demanded, manipulated, negotiated, or sustained through your endless exhaustion. Imagine trying to hold water in your bare hands. If you cup your hands gently and leave them completely open, the water pools there quietly. It rests. But the moment you panic, the moment you suddenly squeeze your fingers shut to trap the water and ensure it does not escape, it immediately slips through the cracks. By trying to force it to stay, you push it away. Human relationships are the very same water. The tighter you hold, the more you suffer. You cannot lock a bird in a cage and then celebrate that it has chosen to stay with you. True devotion is leaving the door wide open and watching the bird choose to return to your shoulder. Think about the people you are so desperately afraid of losing. When you finally step back, you are not abandoning them. You are simply removing the heavy pressure of expectation. You are putting the water back into the river. You are gently saying, "I am here, but I will no longer drag you toward me." Some people will inevitably drift away, and that hurts. But let it hurt without letting it destroy your sense of self. Because those who drift away the moment you stop pulling were never truly anchored to your heart. They were only anchored to your effort. Ask yourself, do you want someone in your life because you forced them to be there, or because they woke up and chose to walk through the door you intentionally left open? There is a strange, powerful peace that arrives when you stop chasing what is already pulling away. Stop, breathe, observe the anxious thought without following it into the dark. Do your part, then release the outcome. You do not need to perform perfectly to be loved. You do not need to manage the affection of others. Let them miss you. Let them wonder. Let them reach out with their own open hands. And if they do not, let their silence be a clear answer you accept with grace, rather than a broken reflection of your worth. Releasing your grip is not just about letting others go. It is about stepping back so you can finally see who is willing to walk toward you. And it is only when you stop making all the noise that you can truly discover what the quiet is trying to teach you. We return now to the silence, the very silence that terrified you in the beginning. Think back to the moment you first imagined stopping your efforts. The heavy fear that if you put down your phone, stopped making plans, and quieted your voice, the world would simply move on without you. You were afraid that the quiet would be the ultimate proof that you were invisible, forgotten, and unlovable. But here is the final truth. The quiet was never your enemy. It was a mirror. For so long, you have filled every empty space in your life with noise, with effort, with the constant striving to keep people close. You believed that if you stopped moving, you would sink. But Buddhist wisdom reminds us that stillness is not a void waiting to swallow you. Stillness is the only place where true clarity can rise. When you stop thrashing in the water, trying to keep everyone else afloat, the ripples finally fade. The surface becomes completely calm. And like a quiet lake at midnight, it is only in this profound stillness that the water can perfectly reflect the light of the moon. As long as you were desperately splashing, all you could see was the chaos. Now, in the silence, you can finally see the truth of your own reflection. The silence you feared is actually a sanctuary. It is the sacred space where you finally get to meet yourself. You meet yourself without the heavy roles you play, without the endless giving, without the desperate need to prove your worth to people who are not paying attention. You have spent years treating your own heart like a busy waiting room for other people. It is time to turn it back into a quiet home for yourself. You are not unlovable because the room went quiet. You are simply exhausted from trying to entertain a room that was never meant to be your whole world. Letting go does not mean you stop loving people. It means you start loving yourself enough to stop begging for their presence. Non-attachment is not coldness. It is the ultimate form of self-respect. It is the deep, unwavering trust that what belongs in your life will find you, and what does not belong will naturally drift away. You no longer have to be the glue holding the universe together. The universe can hold itself. Imagine the immense energy you will recover when you stop pouring your soul into connections with a hole in the bottom. Think about the peace that will wash over you when you finally accept that you are entirely whole, exactly as you are, sitting completely alone in a quiet room. You do not need to be noticed to be real. Your worth is not measured by the number of messages on a screen or how quickly someone replies to your kindness. Your worth is inherent. It was born with you, and it remains with you, untouched by the opinions, distractions, or absences of others. Remember this: a tree standing through a storm does not chase the wind that leaves its branches. It does not beg the rain to stay. It simply stands, rooting deeper into the earth, trusting the changing of the seasons. So, let the quiet settle in. Stop fighting it. Let the silence wrap around you, not as a punishment, but as a gentle, protective embrace. Make space for the people who want to be there, and make peace with the ones who do not. Breathe deeply into this newfound emptiness. It is not a lack of love, it is the clearing of a path. You have carried the weight of the world for far too long. You can put it down now. You have permission to step back, to breathe, and to rest in the stillness. If these lessons touched your heart, share this video with someone who may need a little more peace today. Let life meet you where you are.